Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're giving our first impressions of the Red Cathedral.
Yes. Ooh, the Red Cathedral. I just call it Red Cathedral.
I've mainly called it Red Cathedral as well, and the is pretty small, at least on the sides of the box. I think it's probably smaller on the front as well. So yeah, I think mostly just call it Red Cathedral. Yeah, this was one that I had heard was enjoyed by most of the people that have played it. Pretty much only heard good things, or at least middle of the road things. So I was pretty excited about it. I knew it had a bit of a rondel to it, which is something I always like. So I figured, oh yeah, that'd be. I was hoping it would be a really fun game because you've got kind of the resource management part to it as well, which is always fun in games. Euro games, that is. If you don't like that type of thing, or Euro games, it may not quite be the thing. But yeah, I'd been pretty excited about it for quite a while. Was this in my anticipated list?
It was in your
2021
wish list, anticipated list. It did make, and was an entry on there.
That's true. So I was thinking about it for quite a while, and then on Nerds Day, they actually had this one as one of their deals. So swipe that up.
A couple times when we went to Barnes and Noble, you would see it there, and you'd always have to take a look at it, check the price, see if it had changed, and maybe it was on a deal or something. So I knew it was one you were very interested in.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, my excitement was pretty high for this one. I would say, though, that I think I was the only one that was kind of excited about it. Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, just like when I hear it, the Red Cathedral, I just don't get overly interested. The cover doesn't get me too excited about it. But when I don't know. Just when you're excited about a game, I'm like, okay, what? This is going to be like an overwhelming one, maybe crunchier. I know you really like crunchy games, and I'm not as into those, at least for getting into those and learning them for the first time. So just because you were so excited, I was like, okay, what is this game?
Right.
But I think I'd heard a couple things that it was actually a pretty simple game when you to actually play it. Obviously, as with a lot of games, they can be very simple to play, but there's also a lot of depth, and I'd heard that about this one, and so that got me a little more open to playing it, and even a little more excited with hearing of the dice kind of use of dice in the game.
Yeah, I would agree. And yeah, so yeah, we just got done with our first play of it. So this is our first impression. I hadn't ever played it before. And yeah, like you said about the simplicity, I think the rule book, comparatively to some Euros and stuff, sometimes they can take a little bit. I felt like this one wasn't too difficult of a rule book to get through, and then kind of, once I did, I felt like it was pretty easy to explain. I guess, how did you feel? Because I was the one that read this one, and...
I think it was pretty easy to understand the way you explained it, and it sounds like the rule book was pretty clear as well. There were a couple questions here and there, but it was never really a struggle to wrap my head around the core concepts.
Right, and pretty much all your things you can do are listed on your board. Yeah, I would say there's a couple bonus type actions you can do, and I feel like that might be easy to forget about, but I don't know that has anything to do with the rule book itself. It's just something you got to kind of remember about. But other than that, yeah, it was very quick one to learn. Had a lot of simple things, but yeah, and getting into the game, yeah. So like we said, it was kind of you got 5 different dice on there. So this can be up to a 4-player game, so kind of each player color, if you do play at the max count, each player has a die associated with them, sort of, along with the white one is considered kind of a wild, and you can kind of do a special thing with those by being able to move them additional spots, because typically you'll have the die on a certain piece of the rondel, and then it'll have the pip value on top, and that's how many spaces it would move. Your colors, you can kind of move those extra spaces if you pay coins for them, which I thought was pretty cool. And just the way that how if the kind of wherever that die ended up, you got the resource associated in that space, and there's kind of 3 spots in each sector. And if you have additional dice in there, you kind of multiply doubles or triples the benefit, which I found really cool as well.
I absolutely loved the whole kind of dice rondel in this game, and just so many parts to it. The number kind of moves around there. It's simple, it makes sense, and then just the fact that it multiplies the bonuses just makes it so satisfying and juicy looking out and trying to find those moves. And there are additional bonuses that you can get, that you can gain for when you use the dice, and that just makes it even better, because sometimes I can actually gain the benefit from another die on the board, which is all the ones that I focused on, just because I found that just a really, really cool idea. So I kind of had my red and my white kind of gaining each other's bonuses when I used them, and it was just super satisfying, and just it was awesome, I thought. Just the entire rondel part of the game.
I would agree. I thought that it was really satisfying. It was cool to see, or to kind of think about, like, oh, if I do, we played it 2-player, so it's a little bit, I think it'd be a little bit different, because you kind of know then it's just your other opponent there. So, like, oh, if I put this die here, they're going to be able to possibly move this other die into that same sector. But then possibly there's a third one there that might still go to that same sector, so it's like, well, maybe they'll do it, but if they do, I know I'm going to get it back. So I think it brings another interesting level, if it is just a 2-player game. But yeah, I really love the other main part of the game is you're building the cathedral, and kind of when you're claiming those cards is when you can get the bonus tiles that you were talking about for either you get the bonus of one of the other dice or one of the resources, pretty much. Anytime you use that die. So then it can kind of make all the dice special, potentially, if you're willing to pay for that. Because, you can get it to upgrade each die, and you can even upgrade the white one twice, but it's a little more spendy to do that, and you only get one of the 2 benefits. But so I really love what that added to the game. Just not only, getting the benefits from there, but then also getting an additional benefit.
And it also, like, that seems like a lot going on, but it's just very easy to understand as well. It's like you go, you claim one of those cards, you can pay the coin cost on these spots to put that tile in there, and then you're going to gain that when you move that die. It's just so simple and so perfectly executed. I would agree, because then you're claiming that you're working on that spot. No one else can take it. You don't actually have to, like, put it in front of you. So it's just it flows really well and makes a lot of sense, and you kind of know what you're working towards. Because kind of contract fulfillment in a way. Only it's not actually in front of you necessarily. It's kind of it's out on the actual board or table kind of set up, which it flowed really well that way. And then it kind of, that was one of your options of something you could do during your turn, or else you could claim that, which was how you claimed the contracts you were going to fulfill, or along with getting the bonus tiles. If you paid for them, and then kind of just actually using your resources to put them out there. I think that was kind of a cool thing too, is it's got kind of a Concordia inventory thing where you're limited to the amount of resources you can take or hold at one time, and some of those spots are covered by your kind of markers that you use to claim some of the cathedral pieces, so your inventory can kind of grow a little bit throughout the game. To a maximum of 10. You start with kind of 6, and I think that brings another interesting element where you could set up a spot, and if you see your opponents are all kind of pretty full on items, you can kind of be like, well, they're probably not going to do that, because maybe they're, the blue die might give them a bonus, which might give them, multiple goods, plus now they'll double that, so they could take it, but they're not going to get the full benefit of it. So it kind of gives you that little interesting bit as well. And I just really enjoyed how it all came together. Yeah, I think that's just kind of the thing with the game is everything just ties together so smoothly, surprisingly, because there are quite a few things going on, but it does not feel like there's
No.
too much going on.
Right.
But yeah, and it just seems like everything, like I said, it's already very satisfying in the board moving over here, and it's also satisfying when you do get to fill those cards out and gain those big chunks of points and coins as well to possibly spend on your die movement. And kind of putting these ornaments out there is something else you can do, which I focused on that a lot early on. And when you put those ornaments out, you can also spend different gems to gain prestige points, which there's two different types of points, prestige, and I'm not sure what was the other one called.
I do not remember what it's called.
But so. Yeah, the other one is just kind of represented by a cross, and they're just 1 point apiece along the track. Prestige are, I don't know if you can tell, probably not on there, but they kind of start off being like 4 spots apart, so like 4 or 5 points apiece, getting those prestige, and so yeah, that's when you kind of spend gems when adding different ornaments to the cathedral, which was, like I said, just more satisfying, huge chunks of points, because I did that pretty early on, which gave me like 3 movement there, which is like freaking 12 points worth, which is huge. And I only ended up completing 3 of my cards, and you completed all 6, and it was still within like 6 points.
Right.
So just those 2 very different paths of just going heavy prestige or heavy building those cards and getting those crosses. Ending up so close at the end of the game. I really love that.
Yeah, because for the whole, it seemed like the whole game until like the very end, you were pretty far ahead of me. It seemed like just because you were doing those big jumps, whereas me completing cards was maybe worth the same as. Yeah. I mean, it'd probably take me 2, maybe 3 cards to be worth the same amount of points as what you were getting from just doing that. So it was interesting how that worked.
Because we were going into endgame scoring, we were about even, but since you had completed more cards, you did get the advantage in kind of the tower scoring, which is really cool, an additional thing, just kind of scoring for each of those towers, which is why you don't bring them back to your tableau to fill those orders, because they will count towards endgame scoring. You outperformed there, which did end up giving you the win, but still very close.
I would say the only small minor things that I'm like I don't know 100% were kind of if you completed a piece, because you don't have to complete it from the ground up. If you complete a piece above another player, then they get -1 cross for every completed piece above theirs, not including theirs. Which I don't know if that was needed.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think that would do is kind of, since that's going to happen kind of only at the very end of the track, are the prestige and the crosses kind of locked point for point. So I guess I could see where maybe if you lost a point that way, it all of a sudden gets you behind 1 point behind the prestige marker, so then you're only gaining kind of 1 spot. So maybe I could see that. But otherwise, don't know that did too much. Yeah,
that probably feels like the most just tacked on thing in the game, I would say. And it could be hard to remember as well to do that.
Yep, I would agree. And then, the last, I don't know if we really talked about the little guys around the edge of the board, which kind of each, for every 2 sectors, there's kind of a season supposed to be, kind of. And there's kind of a guy that's associated with each of those, and it's kind of just a little bonus thing you can do. I feel like that it was useful.
Yeah,
at times, but some of them weren't as useful as others.
Yeah, I think it was kind of the layout of the board as well for us, because there's one for trading resources, but the 2 actions that were paired with that were not for gaining resources. So it's not like you gain a ton of resources and then trade them out to really get what you need. And kind of the same thing, something needed coins, but that one produced resources. So I think with different pairings, and definitely in the right situation, I think all these can be like super helpful.
I would agree.
But they didn't feel, that was probably the least satisfying part of the moving of the dice, I would say.
I would agree. But yeah, otherwise, I would say, just an initial kind of rating score, I'd probably put this one at an 8.5. I thought it was very solid, very clean. It all made a lot of sense. It's one that I think I could probably teach to someone in almost no time at all. And I think they would understand a majority of it. But yeah, I look forward to playing this one again for sure.
Yeah, I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10.
Ooh.
I was just... It's that whole rondel mechanism. I just absolutely love that, the entire thing, and it's a huge part of the game. And
I'd agree.
And it is weird, because it's like, you can spend multiple turns not affecting that board, and we did that sometimes. And it's like, it's just kind of weird to go do stuff over here, and then back here.
Right.
And not having it completely tied together. But I really like that. It just... Like we said, everything does tie together perfectly, and I don't know. I'm really looking forward to playing this one more.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll be interested to see kind of how it plays at 3 and 4 players, because I think that might change it up a little bit more. Like you said, sometimes it wouldn't move. Even between us, we might go a couple turns, and we'd be kind of either climbing or building onto our pieces of the cathedral. But otherwise, it's a solid game. I definitely recommend checking this one out, especially if you like games with a rondel system in them.
And I really like the kind of artwork and look of this board as well. Just kind of the center there. Kind of makes me think of Raiders of Scythia a little bit with the style, which you may know that I do love that style.
Yes, but otherwise, if you want to check out, kind of get a better look at the components and stuff, check out our unboxing video on this one. If you want to see future first impressions and other unboxing, definitely subscribe to the channel. And maybe, with it being a 9 on yours, you might want to subscribe to see kind of our top new to us games of 2022. So
make the list.
You'll have to find out. Check back at. I think we'll probably release that early January. So check back then to see if it made the list. But otherwise, we hope to see you on that video. And as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling
on our content.